Well, I think the most important thing about NATO is that while it's an organization that commits all members to the security of every other member, the burden of carrying that security is not carried equally, so that the United States spends a lot more on defense, for example, than all of the European countries, or indeed Canada, do. So the reform we need is for the Europeans and the Canadians to pay more for defense, because it is their security that they're paying for. Often I heard in Europe about that we should have the security we can afford. My view is we should have the security we need, and we should pay for it. Well, clearly, a foreign policy that doesn't have a popular support is not one that is going to be able to be carried on for very long. Political leaders have the power to start foreign engagements, military involvement, or war, but if the public turns against it, then over time that engagement is not going to work. So public opinion is, at base, extremely important. That said, I don't think that politicians should, or in fact do, take polls in order to decide whether they should do this or do that, either in domestic or in foreign affairs, and that is probably the right way. That's why we have elections. That's why once every 4 years presidents get to go to the polls, or new leaders get elected. Well, increasingly we see that cities are the drivers of what happens in the world. Short of issues of war and peace, when it comes to economics, when it comes to people and social structures, cities are the driving force of the 21st century. They're becoming as important to the 21st century as nation states would have been to the 19th and the 20th century. So if we think about that, that means that cities need to think about how they engage globally more systematically than they have up to this point. Today, we think about a mayor who may make a visit abroad and then have some trade delegations going with it. But in fact, we should think about this in a much more integrated way. Our greatest universities, like the University of Chicago, has a huge international and global presence. Our greatest cultural institutions have big global followings and big global connections. We have global corporations headquartered here in Chicago. And the foreign policy that the city of Chicago needs to think about is, how do we master and combine this education, cultural, and corporate and civic foreign engagement in a strategy that makes sense for Chicago and the world, but for Chicago and all Chicagoans. That's the challenge that I think we have in the city, and that the council can help address.